He's the first Briton to reach number 3 in the world since rankings began, and he's the defending champion on paper at least here in Madrid. But the goalposts have moved as indoor hard becomes the reddest of red clay outdoors, and the king prepares to unveil every trick in the book in the magic box. Welcome to the Spanish capital and a brand new ATP Masters 1000 live from a brand new venue, La Caja Mágica. There's a huge sense of anticipation in the Spanish capital as this event finally comes to fruition. And there's a possibility that by the end of it, Andy Murray will no longer be number 3 in the world, but up to number 2. Roger Federer is now in his sights, adding a touch more intrigue to a tournament that promises so much. Let's bring you bang up to date with the rankings. Rafa has been mobbed wherever he's been over the weekend. He still stands alone at the top of that list. Federer just 1,180 points ahead of Murray, and he's going to lose 700 this week as the Hamburg 2008 points drop off. Murray only loses 150, bridging the gap to 630 points. So it is getting very close. Novak Djokovic drops to number 4 despite winning his second title of the year in Serbia yesterday. And the other change in the top 10 sees Gilles Simon and Fernando Verdasco swapping places. Now, as far as the draw is concerned, well, first up for Rafa will be either Jurgen Melzer or Albert Montañez. Top 8 seeds, as usual, all have byes into the second round. Marin Cilic, the other seed in that section. Philip Kohlschreiber against Nicolas Almagro is one of our live matches later today. Fresh from his title triumph in Serbia, Djokovic still ranked 3 here because the seedings are always announced a week before the event. Will play Oscar Hernandez, who has seen off Martin Vassallo Arguello, and Radek Stepanek already out, forced to retire with a knee injury when on the verge of defeat anyway against Sam Querrey yesterday. Querrey, who tends to shine on the clay in Madrid. As for Mr. Murray, well, it will be either Simone Bolelli or Juan Ignacio Chela. Tommy Robredo is lurking following his 3-set win over Nicholas Kiefer, and he's now going to play Mardy Fish, who beat Janko Tipsarevic just a few moments ago. Roger Federer starts his campaign against either Robin Soderling, who of course felt the full wrath of Rafa in Rome, or Igor Andreev, and yet again Ivo Karlovic is in Federer's section of the draw. So too James Blake, who reached the final in Estoril at the weekend, where he lost to Albert Montañez. And this is what we have to look forward to today. And it is some day. On the Manolo Santana court, David Ferrer against Guillermo Cañas, meeting for the very first time. And then an absolute cracker, J W Tsonga and M Safin. We'll hear from Safin later on today. He's promising not to choke, or at least he says he will try not to choke again after his recent disasters. And not before 7 o'clock, Feliciano Lopez against the man who beat Andy Murray in Rome just a fortnight ago, Juan Monaco, who's got a wild card into this event. On the Arantxa Sanchez Vicario court, Simone Bolelli and Juan Ignacio Chela for the right to play Murray this week. Then Italian qualifier Marco Crunola, not too much known about him, but he's got a chance to put his name in lights against Stanislas Wawrinka, and Kohlschreiber against Almagro is a very attractive proposition on day 1 of any event. And last but by no means least, court 3, Ivan Lubicic with a wild card this week up against the Russian qualifier Timurez Gabashvili. So we are spoilt for choice, and I'm delighted to have Peter Fleming alongside me. Now, first of all, Peter, are you happy to call Andy Murray the defending champion this week? It is Madrid, but it's a very different tournament, of course.
It's a technicality, really, yeah. He is the defending champion, I suppose, because he won Madrid last year, but of course it was indoors on a fast, hard court, and this is outdoors on clay. it means nothing.
No. Okay. So we will call him that, but it means nothing. All right, we got that one cleared up. Secondly, they talk about the altitude in Madrid. So is Rafa going to be caught by somebody this week?
Well, I don't understand why anyone would think that because there's altitude, that puts Rafa at a disadvantage. I think it puts him with even more of an advantage because he hits the ball with so much topspin that he is able to actually bring the ball down into court, whereas a guy like Murray, who hits the ball much flatter, might have his shot sail a little bit more. So I think always back in my day when guys like Borg and Vilas were playing, they were rough in altitude. And secondly, Madrid is what, 1,000 meters? I mean, it's not like playing in Johannesburg or Denver or Mexico City where it's very high. I don't think it's going to have much of a bearing on who wins this tournament.
I just wonder because last year before the Davis Cup tie between Spain and the United States, Rafa wasn't happy that was the venue chosen. So although I fully accept what you're saying, I wonder if psychologically he just feels uncomfortable for whatever reason in Madrid.
Maybe so. Maybe someone needs to get inside his head a little bit and say, wait a second, this is actually to your advantage. You know, don't go nutso about this. And I'm sure he won't because he has the most level-headed characters in his camp that you could possibly hope for. He's still the firm favorite.
Well, I mentioned that Roger Federer might possibly lose number 2 place in the rankings this week if he goes out early and Murray probably goes all the way. We've got to fine-tune the mathematics of that. But just how big a week is this now for Federer with the French Open only, a couple of weeks away?
Well, yeah, I think it's quite important. I think he certainly would like to get a good run, a good feeling, get some confidence, match wins under his belt before Paris. He, has he reached a point where he suddenly has taken the pressure off himself? Because we saw in Rome, he's hitting the ball great. He's still playing excellent tennis. But now he's a bit like Marat Safin, okay, not to that extreme, but where he gets ahead of very good players, he's a little shaky. He was certainly against Djokovic in Rome, 3-1 up in both the second and third sets and didn't win a game in either one. So it will be interesting to see how he copes with that or reacts to that. Let's not forget, he's a pretty resilient character. You know, he's come back from a lot of things. This, though, might be about the most challenging one he's faced.
And you mentioned Djokovic, who's been so remarkably consistent of late and who won in Serbia over the weekend, a tournament run by his family. He said it may not have been the biggest title of his career, but it was the most important. 7,000 Serbians cheering him on. And he is winning match after match at the moment, isn't he?
I'm sure he was feeling a lot of pressure to go to Serbia and lose in front of his countrymen. I'm sure he would have felt really horrible. And so he probably did prepare for that event as if it were a major. And he came through, so that's good news for him. He is improving, seemingly week after week, and perhaps almost back to that form that won him the Australian Open. So, he's now a threat in any tournament he enters.
Just before we move on, we must mention Richard Gasquet. You've probably heard the news over the past few days that he has failed a drugs test, and he has admitted, Peter, that the B test has proven that the A test was right. He has tested for sampling cocaine. Now, he is putting together a very strong defence, he says, which will prove that he is innocent. But as it stands at the moment, if that is clarified, he faces a 2-year ban from the sport. What's your initial reaction to that?
It's a 2-year ban if he is found to have used it in competition. It's a 3-month ban if it was just a social thing that happened after he was out of the tournament, I think. It makes me sick, the whole drugs testing thing. First of all, in a sport like tennis, where I really think that there is very little impact that performance-enhancing drugs can have on a tennis player, because you play so many matches day after day after day. It's not like you're getting ready for the Olympics and you go on this program of drugs and you're just preparing for 1-2 week span. No, they have to keep playing week after week after week, and certainly cocaine is anything but a performance-enhancing drug. I mean, it's completely the opposite. And we've found there's so many, I don't know, it's just, I grew up in a legal system where you're innocent until proven guilty, and I just think these drug tests are by no means 100% efficient, effective, verifiable in all circumstances. And I just think that some people are being done for doing drugs who either haven't done them, A, or took something innocently that had a trace of this in it somehow, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that people should be having their livelihood taken away because some official, screwed up.
But we can't be sure that an official has screwed up. If the system proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he has taken an illegal substance, then he has to face the consequences, doesn't he?
Yeah, but how does the system, there have been numerous examples of these drugs labs messing up samples and things. And so, it's sickening to me that this drugs thing is overtaking the, sport. And it's, okay, so tennis has to do that for it to be in the Olympics. I just think, I hate it. I hate it all.
I mean, that said, Richard Gasquet is a professional sportsman. He has to set an example, and if he has taken cocaine, then he hasn't really got
Does he
much
have
of a
to set an
defense, has he?
example? Well, wait a second.
Well, he's
if
in
he
the public
has,
eye.
you're saying
he's
he
in
has.
the public eye.
And
it's the rules. He's got to abide by the rules of a professional tennis player.
But now you're saying that he has taken it. Okay, if he has taken it,
if he has, yeah.
If he has, fine. Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying I'm not certain that he has. I'm not certain that he has, and I don't know. It's a rough question. I'm sure there are valid arguments on both sides of the coin. I just wish we weren't talking about it.
Absolutely. Well, he insists that he hasn't, and as I say, he is putting together a strong defence, and as soon as he has done that, we'll hear much more on the subject, and hopefully there will be a happy outcome to it. Let's move back to the tennis. We'll have some live action for you very shortly. But first of all, let's learn a little more about this brand new venue. I was in Madrid over the weekend. Well, it's always exciting to be involved at the start of something new, and this is most certainly brand new. Some wonderful facilities just down here, 4 practice courts. Just behind those, 4 more match courts. Now, away to the right, you'll see a long, slim building which houses several more practice courts, including the much talked about blue clay court. And we'll have a little more on that later. And then the main attraction, La Caja Mágica, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it means the magic box. There it is. And inside that building, 3 show courts, including the centre court, a capacity of 12,500, all designed by the very famous architect Dominique Perrault. Let's go and take a closer look around. Well, my producer, who is a bit of a worrier, did say to me before I left, don't do anything stupid in Madrid. Don't worry, I'm not officially behind bars. But I have to say there is something slightly penal about the feel of this place, and the reason for that is that it's brand new. If you just look down the main walkway, for me it's a reminder of some of those prison films, In the Yard, Cool Hand Luke, a little bit bare. 12 months from now it'll be completely different. These vines will have taken hold and there'll be a wonderful green look to the place, a little like the walkways at Wimbledon. And they've already got lots of facilities in place. Now over here, John McEnroe would describe that as the pits. But for some of the younger members of the audience over the next few days, plenty of fun will be had in that sand pit. I rather like the look of the tented village. It's a boiling hot day, at about 30 degrees, so I think it's time for a cool pins. Oh, hello again. Well, the bad news, no Pims. The good news, a lovely, cooling, non-alcoholic beer. Because you can't afford to get drunk in this job. Now, I've made some comparisons between prices here and at the Monte Carlo Country Club where we were a few weeks ago, and I can tell you that 2 salads, a sandwich and 3 soft drinks will set you back €21. So not as expensive as Monte Carlo, not a bargain either, but this is a beautiful vantage point. The sun is beating down, some music playing over in the distance. As usual in one of these tented villages, you've got a great selection of items to buy, top-notch sports gear, and thousands of tennis rackets over to my right. Most of them, it has to be said, being promoted by who else? Rafael Nadal. So I'm going to just sit here and chill out for a few more minutes, and then we'll go and have a look at that revolutionary blue clay court. Cheers. And here it is, perhaps the future look of clay court tennis. Obviously this surface isn't completed yet with its special dye, but it's certainly striking. I can't see there being a problem spotting the ball. And I suspect that Rafa will be just as dominant on this as he is on the red stuff. Well, talking of the great man, there he is, gearing himself up for what he hopes and no doubt expects will be another successful week. Interesting to note he's wearing the longer shorts for his practice session. Also interesting to note he booked a 2-hour session. Everybody else has been going for just the one. Now, because of the altitude here in Madrid, there are those who think he'll be less of a force than was the case in Monte Carlo, Barcelona and Rome. But I have to say, he looks every inch the part. He's taking even this practice session incredibly seriously, and you can only fear for the rest. Yeah, incredible to see Rafa over the course of the weekend. Wherever he went, he was being surrounded by youngsters. They all want a piece of the king. He is not terribly impressed by that blue clay court. What's your initial impression having seen that?
Yeah, it's odd. It's certainly odd. You know, I think that the beauty of a red clay court or a grass court is that they're natural surfaces, and you know, nature is a good thing, isn't it? You know, blue is not exactly, unless it's in the sky, it's not really a natural color, and so therefore it smacks more of the US Open or any other hard surface.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see whether that idea takes hold. The event itself, so much excitement in Madrid. Obviously, they're campaigning for the Olympics in 2016. This is very much part of their campaign. How excited are you to see a new tennis event such as this taking hold?
Beautiful, really beautiful, because Madrid, of course, the capital of one of the biggest tennis countries in the world, certainly right up there in terms of great players, the #1 country in the world, and so it's likely to this event will become a huge event in no time at all, and to have a facility like that is terrific.
Yeah, well, certainly wherever you go.
Everybody's a little bit uncomfortable because throughout the years they learn how to play against you. So at the beginning maybe it's easier, but then it's getting tougher and tougher because they learn a lot about your game, and things start to be complicated. I love to play against Nalbandian, for example, for the beginning, like for 4 or 5 years. Beat him in Madrid here in the finals, and some tough matches on Davis Cup, but he's comfortable for me.
And are you still enjoying your tennis during this year?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's not easy. It's getting tougher and tougher. A lot of young guys coming. Everybody's fighting. Everything is new for them, so they fight. They don't care. They don't respect, which is a good thing. And it's starting to get tougher. But well, I'm top 20. My best ranking since 4 years, so I can't complain.
You're hugely popular in Great Britain, and a lot of your fans have been watching in agony these last 3 matches in Masters events where you've been in winning positions and it's been snatched away. How difficult has that been for you?
Well, it's a little bit, that hurts, I can tell for sure, but because pretty good draws there. I know another couple of rounds and you are already top 15. So, but I don't know, for some reason I stop when I feel that I can win. Something is going on inside of me, and I can't win. And hopefully it will change this week.
So you feel if you get in that position again, you're going to be able to put it right?
I hope not to choke again. Otherwise, 4 times is a little bit too much. Too many presents before Christmas.
We wish you all the best in Madrid. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it has been painful, those defeats snatched from the jaws of victory, but he's maintained his humour.
Yeah.
Do you think if he gets in a winning position again today, he will be able to rid himself of the demons that have been such a problem of late?
I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we? It gets much tougher as you get older. Your body doesn't quite react as you expect it to, and then that leads to just a little nervous tension, and once it starts, it's very difficult to stop. So he's got his work cut out for him, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and when he saw the draw and realised that he was facing J W Tsonga in the first round, he probably thought, well, I'll be quite pleased to get into a winning position against this man in the first place.
Well, that's right. And also, there is the added benefit in that Safin is not expected to win this match. Yeah, and so he might take a little pressure off himself against a guy who's ranked lower, that Safin might expect to beat, or certainly would think that others would expect him to win. You know, you could see him putting pressure on himself. Maybe not today.
Well, I like the way that he said, you know, these young guys have come through, they don't show any respect, and that's the way it should be. And of course, Tsonga is one of these young guys who's burst onto the scene and who thankfully has the same sort of charisma on court that's made Safin such a popular player over the past decade.
Oh, no question. I love this guy. He is a real entertainer. He's got a big personality and a big game. No question about that. He's got maybe the most powerful forehand in the game, a huge serve. Surprisingly, moves very well. You know, for a guy 6'4", he gets around the court extremely well. Pretty good balance, and you know, is not a fish out of water on a clay court by any stretch.
Well, there's Merritt, who, as he said, won the Madrid title a few years ago, beating David Nalbandian in the final. We do have to keep remembering that it's a very different tournament. Indoors then, but at least he's got some positive vibes when he arrives in the Spanish capital.
Yeah, no question about that. You know, he trained for many years in Spain, so he speaks the language fluently, and therefore I'm sure is quite comfortable when he comes back here. He's won tournaments here, so you know, that augurs well for him. The question is just, can he finish the job when he gets in a winning situation?
And we've had a lot of texts and emails over the past few weeks, people asking, is he really going to retire at the end of the year? And I did intend asking him that question, but just before we began the interview, he fixed me a pretty steely look and said, I don't want to talk about the retirement situation. So, you know, being a bit of a chicken. Sorry, that was a terrible impersonation, but he made it clear he didn't want to talk about the retirement situation. Chicken that I am, I didn't mention it to him. But I just sensed from the way he said that perhaps his mind isn't completely made up, that if he suffers any more painful defeats such as he's had recently, then he'll chuck the rackets away sooner rather than later.
Well, we saw the way he spoke of his ranking, where he's number 20, top 20, and win a couple of those matches, and he's top 15. And if he were to reach that level, you could see the argument for him saying, well, why should I retire? I'm enjoying it, I'm playing well. You know, let's give it another year or two. But I think that whenever you announce, you know, this will be my last year, you're asking for trouble. And I think he now rues having done that.
Yeah. Of course, to maintain that ranking, he's going to have another pretty good run at Wimbledon, because that's what boosted him big time, getting to the semi-finals last year. When those points come off, if he does have an early setback, then suddenly he's going to slip into that dangerous no man's category again, isn't he?
No question about that. If he were to reach, say, even the third or fourth round this year, which would be his seeding, yeah, he'll lose hundreds of points, and that would drop him down probably to, you know, 30s or 40s.
Tsonga's coach, and on the subject of the architecture of this place, a few people saying they're not big fans of the steel seating around the court. It's not the most attractive look, is it?
No, I suppose not, but hopefully the place will be filled soon enough, and so we won't notice it quite so much. It is a little austere right now.
Well, they've made up for it with the flowers. We won't start another subject as to what particular make of flower they are again. Make
what
of
brand
flower?
name?
Brand name. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to talk about flowers full stop. Do keep your texts and emails coming. If you know what those flowers are, help us out as you did in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago. You text the word tennis and then your message to 84401. 84401. Please include your name. Cost you 25 pence. Network charges may vary. And the email address is tennis@skysports.com. Tennis@skysports.com. I'm getting all sorts of strange sounding flowers fed through my earpiece. Let's join the Percy throwers of our particular team, the two Barrys.
You think I'm going to give you an answer to what those are? No way. How about you, Barry?
Well, Marcus, they're certainly not Sala pansies.
Yeah. Let's concentrate on the two men meeting for the first time, and what a meeting it could be. Potentially this could be a cracking encounter. Let's hope it is, but great to hear from Marat. Always a twinkle in his eye, isn't there, when you get the chance to chat to him, and clearly talking to Marcus prior to this matchup. Still hoping to produce something, and hoping that he won't choke away a potential winning situation, which he's been wont to do this season. But for Tsonga, good to see him back. Noticing that already, Barry, he has got some tape on his left knee. It's something that he's been trying to protect in the clay court season. Didn't play Monte Carlo nor Barcelona, did turn up in Rome, and ironically lost there to a certain Richard Gasquet. So this is his first match since then, and he'll begin it against the former world number one, former champion here a few years ago.
Keep the 15 off.
The first match of the day, Cagnas Ferrer, was a typical clay court battle, but this will be sort of a hard court matchup played on a clay court. Both players looking to get in the first strike. You know, someone like Tsonga, if he believes he can play well this week, he can be danger for anyone. Because he will be able to serve and volley at times. For Safin, I found it interesting that he admitted to Marcus that he choked, and that's the most difficult aspect to do. Once you do admit, then maybe you have got a chance. It's the ones who are in self-denial.
First game then for the Frenchman, one of three Frenchmen in the top 10 right now. Simon and Monfils, the other two. But yes, the choking that he referred to, of course, not just once, but 3 times in his last 4 events for Safin, against Monfils in Miami, when he had 2 match points against the Frenchman there, then 3 match points against Lepenti, Nicolas Lepenti, remember that one in Monte Carlo, before leading by a set and was up against Tommy Robredo in Rome, but lost 6-2 in the decider. So getting past the early rounds has been a struggle for him all season. Began his year with a 3rd round loss to Federer, who disgraced that in the Australian Open, and has struggled ever since.
Quince 15 love. Claire, Javier, come in, please.
I'm here. Enric Molina's not answering to me.
If you do, Barry.
Well, Marcus certainly won't.
It is a massive delivery when he hits the serve like that. Of course, 6'4", he packs a punch, and facing a guy with out of a similar mould.
Juego Safin.
Well, the heavyweights are out, and certainly from the early couple of games, you build up a case to say it's quicker than it was in Indian Wells and Miami. Both of those on hard.
Just 6 wins he's managed so far this year. But you're looking at a guy who's won 25, he's won a couple of titles.
We were in Madrid, Barry, for the Davis Cup semi-final. Spain against the Americans. And the damage that Sam Querrey did to Rafa for a set and a bit, he was up a set and a break, was the American. And Rafa really did struggle to return the big serve.
Mind you, having got through that, he then dealt with Mr. Roddick's big serve on the Sunday. Roddick back this week. We're playing his first match since getting married.
15 all.
Talking about relationships, Dinara Safina touched on Marat's many relationships.
A good reach, answered with a good reach.
It was quite funny as well, because she said, you know, a lot of his ex-girlfriends I've come to really like, but she said I found it quite hard when he kept dumping them.
Now the world number one. Who would have thought that? Family producing 2 of them.
Early stages, he's hitting his double-handed backhand, pure Safin. And that will be a good play. If he can rush Tsonga on his backhand, which is his weaker wing.
Full to 30. Let's the service. Tsonga.
So Safin, having hit a couple of good ones with the two-hander, misses at the end, and Tsonga ahead 2-1. Early stages, this opening encounter, a first meeting between these two characters of the game.
Game for fiddle. 15 love.
Important time for Tsonga. in preparation for Roland Garros. He's missed the last 2 seasons there. Big disappointment for the French crowds that he wasn't able to play, but they'll be hoping for good things from him this year. And of course, Gael Monfils, a bit of a doubt at the moment with his injury problems. Seymour perhaps not the best on the clay, and of course Gasquet, his troubles we've talked about already today.
Yeah, for Tsonga, realistically, it's all about trying to get enough matches this week and Roland Garros for him to make a serious assault on the grass. Now, he's one of those players that could break into the top 4 at Wimbledon.
Safin, a former semi-finalist at the French Open back in 2002. And more recently, of course, a semi-finalist last year at Wimbledon. No way that was going to be returned. So 2 games apiece between these 2 giants. Now, Barry, I'm reliably informed Paul has emailed us about the floral decoration this week. So on his head be it osteospermums, otherwise known as African daisies, South African daisies, Cape daisies or blue-eyed daisies. Take your pick. Very nice they are too.
Love 15.
Which, of course, you knew before the email, Barry.
No way.
And that's what Tsonga is all about. Big first serve, how early he takes that forehand, and we know how confident he is at the net.
Excellent touch. Good hand skills from Safin.
15-30.
And so often at the start of a Master Series, you look at the sort of a quarter of the draw, you could find an upset. And I really feel that one of these 2 could reach the semis. They're in the quarter of the draw of Djokovic, and obviously Djokovic in brilliant form. But at some stage, you've got to feel, given the amount of tennis he's played, he's going to come unstuck. And for the Serb, he would want to come unstuck here as opposed to at the French. Tsonga's the seed, and the other seed in his section is Gilles Simon, and he's been struggling of late.
Former handball player, of course, Didier Tsonga. Now a chemistry teacher.
Full to 30.
Well used serve and volley.
Tsonga leads 3 games to 2.
Still little to choose between them. The sun shining brightly on M Safin and J W Tsonga.
Tiempo.
And this stadium, to me, very reminiscent of Rod Laver Arena and the second main show court as well in Australia. And so for these two, perhaps good feelings, both having had great success there down under in the past.
Pero 15, low 15.
You want to forget that one quickly. Normally so good over the head with the smash.
Quince iguales. 15 all. Quince 30.
An example there of how vicious that forehand is from Tsonga when he hits it. Like that, Peter
15,
Fleming
30.
talking about it, saying how strong it is in the game and quick to apply it in that point.
Iguales. 30 all.
Ambitious, certainly, but what you expect to see from him.
Yeah, both players have understood early on the way to play here. You have to take risks. You have to be more aggressive than you would at a normal clay court.
Cuarenta 30. 40 30.
This is a big match for both players. I can really see one of these two doing very well if they can get a bit of confidence.
Every time he's got the first serve in, he's won every point.
Iguales.
Having said that, loses that one.
Also be fascinating to see how Federer plays this week in terms of his game start. And then will he serve and volley? Now I know the players have voiced their worry about it being at altitude with only a week's gap between the French Open, but if we look at our Masters coverage, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years, for me the most entertaining tennis has been the indoor event in Madrid. Now, I feel we'll have some great tennis again this week because it's a little bit quicker.
Juego Safin.
Tsonga's intention very clear there again. Bludgeoning the return, but just can't hit the target. So Safin surviving that game once more. On serve. But interesting, you mentioned Federer and talking prior to this championship, saying that yes, of course, his form is not right up there when it comes to playing the best, but thinks it might even help him if he doesn't face Rafa here, if he doesn't meet up in their scheduled final according to the seedings, then that might actually help him going into Paris, the fact they haven't faced each other for a while.
Zero 15. Love 15.
Thierry Champion. And was that Julien Benneteau? I think it was.
Iguales. 15 all.
Just going back to that Federer thing I mentioned, do you think that might help him in a way that he hasn't, you know, going into Roland Garros, that he won't have been beaten 3 times in a row on clay by Rafa?
No, Barry, I'm surprised he's come out of that, because it's not an issue about Rafa, is it? It's also an issue about Murray and Djokovic.
Yes.
You know, right now, the head-to-head, he's 4th. But the positives you take from Rome to a set in 3-1, he played great. I also felt he looked fitter, he looked stronger in Rome all of the week. And I believe he'd worked hard the week before. And now it's a bit of a mental block that he's got against the top 3.
40-15. 40-15.
In protecting that knee, Tsonga took some time out and practiced in Geneva, just to try and keep himself in the best trim, prepare the best for this latter part of the clay court season. And the heavy hitting from both of them behind their serves, proving enough at the moment. No breaks so far. J W Tsonga made his debut here last year, reached the 3rd round, playing a guy who of course took the title in Madrid when it was an indoor event on the hard courts in 2004, M Safin. Yet to really catch fire, this one, and the crowd, for the most part, what crowd there is on a Monday afternoon, just basking in the sunshine and not getting that involved so far. But shame in a way, these two have got to meet so early in the tournament. But Marat Safin only just outside the seedings. He's crept back inside the top 20.
The service.
Off the line, to see that shoot under his racket.
That's cruel, because he hit a great return, Tsonga.
Terreno 15, 30-15.
Just needs to stay down longer on that shot.
If that landed true,
Yep.
maybe not. And Enric Molina coming
No
out to
toca,
check it.
Hay un pelo.
Just the wrong side.
Full to 15.
Almost a near impossible return. The ball's kicking away from you. Try and attempt to hit it down the line. Well, the forehand is, or has been, his Achilles heel under pressure. In those 3 matches that Safin admitted he choked, it was the forehand that let him down. A couple of loose forehands in this game.
Once again, the shocker. What's he getting wrong there?
Well, he's not committing everything to it. There's a bit of doubt. Really, if you analyse the best forehand in the game when he was playing his best tennis was Federer, and Federer, as he would hit the shot, his weight would be going inside the court, following the ball. There with Safin, he was almost leaning back as he hit the shot.
Tsonga.
First break point of the match. But a handy 6th ace from Safin. Saves it.
Well, if you wanted any evidence of how quick the conditions are here in Madrid, you only have to look at the ace count. 6 already in his 4th service game.
That's his average first serve speed, 216. Well, the drop shot wasn't good enough.
Oh, what was Tsonga thinking there? I mean, he's got Safin under pressure. It's deuce. Safin's missed a few first serves. It's almost like he ran out of patience. So they're saying that his average first serve speed is 135 miles per hour in this match.
Safin. 4 iguales, 4 games on.
Tsonga looked like he was just holding his left upper arm after hitting that, whether he hit it with the racket coming through on that forehand.
Gracias.
The first real test for Safin answered positively.
Holtz. Game for 15 love.
I pointed out the problems that Safin was having on his forehand in the previous service game. You couldn't do much better than copy Tsonga's. He throws everything into that shot. That's why he is so successful at the net, because he gets so close, because after he hits his forehand, everything is going through the ball.
30 love. Game 10. 30-15.
That was very nearly an unbelievable volley. One of the hardest volleys to hit when you're coming forward and it's right at you and you've got to open your racket face.
Iguales. 30 all.
If it had the legs, it would have been hard for Tsonga, for Safin, I should say, to deal with that. But of course, if you don't get it over, you can pay a heavy price, and he now faces his first break point.
Iguales.
There's been a break point apiece in this match, and two big first serves. One from Safin, and one from Tsonga.
Just had the reach and the stretch to put that away.
Well, he improvises well here, Tsonga. Such is his desire to get the ball as high as he can or as early as he can, because he doesn't want to let the ball drop below the height of the net.
Just long. Yep. ¿La ves? Yep. This is the one. I'll have a look. Gracias.
Safin says it was a good serve. So Tsonga comes through that. 5-4 ahead, first set. "35 minutes played." It's a warm afternoon. Is this match warming up to something special?
Tiempo.
Yet to prize the two players apart, Tsonga and Safin, on serve at the moment. News that Robin Soderling has won through to the second round. He's beaten Javier Navarro of Spain. I think was a lucky loser replacement for Igor Andreev, who was originally in the draw. Not quite sure what's gone on there, but Soderling winning and will next face Roger Federer. Tsonga does well to come back in that point.
15.
The serve initially just took off, the kick off this clay court. At altitude, it rose rapidly, but Tsonga, of course, he's such an athletic player, finding a way to stay in the point.
It's probably the only Masters event you could probably serve and volley first and second serve. So Rafter would have liked to have played here. But it's so hard to stand in on the baseline and return the serve with any degree of confidence. So if you do stand further back, an intelligent volley and a good volley will be able to put the ball in almost an impossible position to be able to run down.
Quince 30, 15-30.
Big moments coming up here. Safin having done well to stick with Tsonga so far. That's a fine play, good attack, used the forehand, backed himself, despite the problems he's had with it already.
30.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Barry. It was a brilliant forehand, but there the dangers for Tsonga off standing further back to return the serve. It's all about first strike in these conditions. You have to dictate the rally.
He may have served 6 aces already, but his first serve percentage has dipped now below 40%.
30-40.
And it is Tsonga's turn to clip the line.
30-40.
Great return, and the Frenchman has set point. Terrific play, well taken. Great return, followed it up. And Eric Winogradsky, his coach, and his father Didier out of their seats to applaud that. 1-0.
Let's see if Safin can keep his cool and come back against Tsonga. Back to the Barrys.
Low 15.
Marat Safin now up against this 1-set loss, and knowing that he's going to have to really apply himself, not allow himself to get behind and get down. Because Tsonga has been very positive since he stepped onto this court in the magic box for the first time. Playing with good intention here that you'd like to see taken to Roland Garros as well, where he's only played once before and lost in his first round on debut. With shots like that, well, can anybody answer them?
Well, the answer is no, Barry. Yeah, those last 2 points to break Safin's serve were phenomenal. I mean, the only mistake Safin made was he missed the first serve. That's why Tsonga is so dangerous. If he has the conditions, which he has here this week, he can beat anyone.
Don't know what the long-term forecast is for Paris in the next few weeks, but if it does go dry and hot for the duration, then Tsonga will certainly fancy his chances. doing something more. Get the crowd behind him there, that would be something to behold. Of course, Gael Monfils had such an excellent run last year.
Well, at times he's just overpowering Safin. Well, that's not an easy thing to do.
What was he saying? The young guys showing a lack of respect, just trying to hit him off the court. Of course, something he was so good at doing in his tennis youth. Think how he dismissed Sampras at the Open, that first Grand Slam title. Getting better and better.
It's been a stunning performance, really, from Tsonga. Even how little tennis he's played of late, and on this surface, the clay. And he has got the balance exactly right. He's served well, 60% first serves in, he fair share of winners. And when you have the ability to take the return as early as you can, as he has, and he's also done in the opening set, stepping inside, that's what did the damage in the last 2 points, to break Safin's serve. You know, all of a sudden those odds of 100 to 1 to reach the final is not a bad bet.
Would Safin be better advised just to take a little pace off the first serve now? He's missing so many.
Give 15 love.
Mix it up a bit more.
You may be right, Barry, but when your bedrock of your game has been about your first serve, he might just feel it's a negative mindset. That's surely wide, wasn't it? Well, it's too late now.
No. Just wide.
Safin did play another shot, didn't he? And then missed.
Treinta 15, 30 15.
That's a big serve out wide. Changing direction rather than going down the tee. Trying to bury that one.
He missed his last 7 first serves. 4 at the end of the last set and 3 at the beginning of the last game. But found the form just in the nick of time there. Great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, the way to go.
15 love. 30-0. 30 love.
I always find that tactic sort of perplexing, really, when you're playing someone like Tsonga, when he has a weaker backhand. In that position, why wouldn't Safin look to come in, come forward, make him pass? Not easy to do when the ball's flying. Now, he's not a touch player in the sense of liking to hit drop shots, so you're going away from the best chance of him winning this match.
Trenta quince. 30-15.
Just like that, perfect play.
Cuarenta quince. 40-15.
Ow. Took that on the top of her head.
Cuarenta 30. 40-30.
We'll keep an eye on the scoreboard with Simone Bolelli and Juan Ignacio Chela now on court, because the winner of that match will face Andy Murray tomorrow, probably. Currently on serve, Bolelli 1-2 first set.
Let for serve. Tsonga.
And again, Prosper's coming forward behind the serve, finishing off well. 2-1 ahead in the second set and up by 1. Colourful headgear in the Magic Box, this brand new arena, this complex for the ladies stop at the Masters Series. First time for Safin at this venue, of course, against a guy he's facing for the first time and finding out what J W Tsonga is all about. And Tsonga, the power, the athleticism, the big serve, the volleying behind it have been very much to the fore in this match so far.
Gracias, DJ. Quince 0. 15 love.
Still only lost 1 point on his first serve. Safin.
30-0. 30 love.
So he knows that if he can get his first serve percentage up to around 55-60%, which is what it should be for someone like Safin, who does have a beautiful service motion, he's still very much a part of this match.
Cuarenta 0. 40 love.
And the difficulty with Tsonga, as he showed with that backhand return, is at times he can miss by miles. You get no rhythm, and all of a sudden, it always seems to be at crucial stages, he finds the lines.
Juego Safin.
For dramatic effect, Safin lets him go.
Dos juegos iguales. 2 games
Made
all.
as if to hit it, but well worked point this.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Players enjoyed it, but very much a 40 love point. Tsonga had mentally already switched off. The chances of him breaking serve in these conditions slim.
That is some hitting.
15 love.
Running wide, but lands this. Worth another look.
It's Rafa-like with a follow-through. Even Nadal will be proud of that.
Quince iguales. 15 all. Treinta 15. 30-15.
Sorry, my Russian doesn't extend that far, but cause some amusement.
Yeah, his frustration is because he's 15 all. Tsonga's missed the first serve, and they're the sort of small chances you've got to take.
Nothing personal.
Tsonga.
The racket is still in one piece, just.
Tsonga leads 3 games to 2. Tiempo.
Just feels Tsonga has things where he wants them to be. In control of his game for the most part today. And that's made life hard enough for Safin, who keeps having to try and catch him up. Serving second in both sets so far.
Let's. For service.
There's really not much to choose between both players, but you just get the feeling the difference Tsonga and Safin is you expect Tsonga to produce the goods and big points, but you don't with Safin. And it's purely a confidence thing. Safin has
15 love.
lost a lot of close matches recently, where Tsonga has produced some big-time tennis of late.
15 iguales.
Like that. Knocks another hole in the defences. What a play, what a combination there. The drop shot that turned sharply on its landing, and this little pickup after it. Safin just dug that out, but look at that. How frustrating for the Russian, just wouldn't come back to him.
Oh, he's a powerful player, we know that, but that was an intelligent point. We're waiting for that opening to use the drop shot from Tsonga. And that's a real boost to win a rally, backhand to backhand.
iguales. 30 all.
You gotta love about him at times. He does play the most ridiculous shots. I mean, what was he attempting there? Off balance, trying to go down the line. That's what makes him so watchable.
Cuarenta 30. 40-30.
Wasn't he?
Iguales.
That forehand return again. And Safin on that second serve needs to either kick it up higher to the backhand of Tsonga or go right into the body. He's hurting Safin when he has a free swing at the forehand.
Ventaja Safin. Luego Safin. El cambio de bolas. New balls, please.
Big serve that was returned right onto the line, but Safin holds again.
Bolas nuevas, por favor. Bolas, por favor.
One of the model ball girls that have become a feature of featured matches in Madrid.
Well, recently, Barry, a constant theme with our emails has been people emailing in saying, you know, the time that players take between points, you know, getting the towel from the ball boys, ball girls. I think you can understand this week, can't you?
Yes.
30-0. 30 love. 40-0.
Yeah, flat-footed by that, and again it's just overpowering play from J W Tsonga.
Tsonga.
And again, the Frenchman pushes ahead.
4-3.
4-3, second set.
Muchas gracias.
Good match so far from J W Tsonga. It's Safin who's trying somehow to turn this around, but not an easy task for the Russian. I was just looking at his record, Barry. In fact, this year Safin has yet to win from a set down, and looking back at last season, the last time he did it was at the US Open when he lost the opening set to Vince Spadia. Eventually won through in 5. He was 2 sets to 1 up in that, then lost the 4th, eventually came through 6-4, and prior to that, in a 3-set match, did it against James Ward of Great Britain in the first round at Queen's last year. So to do it against somebody of Tsonga's caliber is odds against, really.
Well, especially if he tries that shot. I mean, what's he doing there? I mean, that has to be hit, that forehand, but you get the feeling maybe he didn't want to hit it. The nature of the set, 3-4, it's a big point given how many short forehands he's missed in the last month or so under pressure.
Emilio Marat. Yeah, it is good. Good. Thank you.
Primer servicio.
Eased into that, made that look so easy, but it was far from that.
Love 30.
Yeah, you couldn't have summed it up better, Barry. What a very difficult shot. And he, at times, is a special tennis player, Tsonga. And actually it was quite an intelligent point because he started it off sort of waiting for Safin to make the move, but then he has enough power to be able to turn defence into attack with one shot, the Frenchman.
And what next? Break points against him. The famed two-hander letting him down badly.
But you got to get the feeling the way Tsonga's played this game, it's all about reputation of the Russian the last month or so. Players know about what's happened in your matches. They all talk. So Safin's going to have to come up with something a little bit special, these 2 points. I actually would like to see him serve and volley here.
30-40.
I don't believe Tsonga's going to attack this return, and he's just going to look to chip it back like he did the last one.
No, this is it. Good. This it? This is the one. Yeah, good.
What a great serve that was.
Iguales.
Too quick for the line judge, but back out juice.
Middle again.
Wow, I thought that had missed, but
Ventaja
must have
Safin.
just caught that side of the line. Much better from Safin, applying himself, something of the old swagger back about those last few points.
4 juegos iguales. 4 games all.
Almost identical similarities to what happened in the first set. Had to save a break point at 4-3, did so with an ace. Well, unlike the first set, can he build on that?
Siéntense rápidamente, por favor. Gracias. $15-0. 15 love.
Surprised given how successful he is on first serve. It's only his second ace.
30-0. 30 love.
It's been a very entertaining match. It's nice to see some serve and volley tennis, some attacking tennis. You just the feeling that the clay quarters in the locker room are sort of moaning, can't you? Ah, it's too fast.
Safin held in the last game with some fine serving, and more of that from Tsonga right there. 5-4. Former champion head bowed, thinking ahead. How far, how deep must he dig to try and get this into a final set? First things first, stay in this second one with some good serves if he can.
15-0. 15 love.
Sledgehammer play from Joe Wilfried. Safin just left standing by the power of that shot.
It's been a great combination, hasn't it, in this match for Tsonga, that big forehand. Time and time again, he's rushed Safin. That's 2 second serve returns he's missed in this game without really going for the winner.
It's great when it comes off.
He was certainly going for the winner there.
Yeah. Saw him coming, sized it up and fired it up the line. Great pass. Tsonga unable to apply the pressure he wanted on that game.
Yeah, it was a poor game really from Tsonga. The way he plays his tennis is he goes into each set thinking, well, I'm going to hold serve 6 times. I'll have a swing on 6 occasions and I believe that I will connect on one of those games. It's what happened in the first set.
Coge la bola, por favor. Chica, puedes coger la bola.
Yeah, maybe some of the other big servers in the game would be better off to follow the theory of the Frenchman.
Love 15. Quince iguales, 15 all.
Yeah, that's a return that has to go back in the court. Yeah, I'm not sure anyone does that better than Tsonga. Wide serve, early forehand.
Tsonga.
And again, Safin unable to get close to
Tsonga gana 6-4.
threatening that Tsonga serve.
Tsonga leads 6 games to 5.
6-5. A top 10 tennis player playing accordingly. Good stuff from Tsonga so far today. Against the former champion and former world number 1, Marat Safin, again having to serve and hold to stay in contention. 6-5 here in the second show court. Bolelli and Chayla in their first set. 5 games apiece. Bolelli with break points in that 11th game. Fighting for the right to face Andy Murray in the second round.
Fair 15. Love 15.
Oh dear. This hit returned from Tsonga. And Safin fouls this one long. Well, he has worked hard in this contest, but it could be about to end. An hour and 28 minutes gone. Another early exit for Safin this season if he goes out here. Just caught it into the corner.
15-14.
And a misfire from Safin, as he has done too much of late. But Tsonga, a class act, and tough to deal with him today. He'll be tough to beat this week.
It's a real shame for Safin to end the match on that note. Unfortunately for him, it's a reoccurrence, isn't it? The forehand misfiring under pressure for Tsonga. It's great to see the flamboyant Frenchman here playing on clay and playing great tennis. He's going to be a big force this week.
Well, more disappointment for Marat Safin and his supporters. At least today he didn't throw away a winning position. And then again, he never got close to finding one of those. J W Tsonga, most effective when he needed to be at the end of both sets. And as Barry said, he's definitely one to look out for this week, as is David Ferrer, who we've already seen in victorious fashion. Hour and 29 minutes, didn't quite live up to its pre-show billing. Peter Fleming's alongside me. What were the keys to that?
Well, I don't think stats told much of a story about that match. It was really just a few points here and there. I think that, Tsonga took his chances. Had 6 break points, Safin only the 1. And perhaps that's the salient item there. Just Safin didn't get into Tsonga's service games at all. And it always seemed to be a matter of time before the Frenchman managed to break down Safin's serve.
So Safin goes out, but we've still got plenty more for you today. Not before 7 o'clock, another attractive-looking first-round encounter on Santana. Feliciano Lopez against Juan Monaco, the wild card from Argentina, who beat Andy Murray a couple of weeks ago in Rome, so Lopez will be a little wary of that one. On the Arancha Sanchez Vicario court right now, it's Simone Bolelli and Juan Ignacio Chela, of course, for the right to play Murray in the second round. We'll be going live to that in a few moments' time. Marco Krunola is in the spotlight today. He's qualified, and he'll play Stanislas Wawrinka, seeded 11. And Philip Kohlschreiber against Nicolas Almagro was another matchup that rather leapt off the page when the draw was made a couple of days ago. But disappointment again for Marat Safin. He just doesn't seem to have the consistency required, particularly, as you were saying, against a man like Tsonga, who knew what to do when he really had to do it.
Yeah, it's difficult playing against Tsonga on this surface. He will be a real danger man because he serves so well and backs it up so well. And so with Safin struggling to get into Tsonga's service games, he was always going to feel a little pressure on his own game, and it cracked just a little bit.
And we saw some explosive play from him. Key moment at the end of the first set as Safin serving to try and stay in it. Suddenly a little change through the gears.
Yeah, well, Tsonga just said, fine, I'll have it. That was a second serve. And he took his chances. Again, I'm going to go for it. And Safin perhaps just a little bit tight, and Tsonga closed down the net as well as you could possibly hope to do. And in the end, you know, the Safin forehand just broke down a little bit, and that's, you know, that's the difference.
There was a hint of frustration from Safin during the match, but at the end there, I kind of sensed he knew the writing was on the wall. There was nothing he could do in that particular instance. And do you further sense now, we were talking about whether he will retire at the end of the year or not, but more first round defeats, it's perhaps going to help to make up his mind?
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows what goes through that guy's mind? You know, if he's having fun, he might come back because he is playing well. But yeah, he would like to win matches like that one.
Okay, so we saw some explosive action from Tsonga. We also saw some extraordinary evasive action from one of the model ball girls. Just take a look, corner of your screen, as a ball is sent down to her. Whoops! Well, was that a ball or a grenade? She looks just a little uncomfortable, Pete, doesn't she? They look good, but they're not necessarily naturals when it comes to court movement.
Perhaps not. It doesn't really bother me, though. It's quite all right.
Is that all you have to say on this important subject?
It is, yeah. It's, yeah. No, I don't think it's a major issue.
Okay. In that case, I won't continue this particular conversation. Moving on to your texts and emails before we get out to Bolelli in just a few moments. Disappointment first of all, Kathy Pritchard. I know you're in Essex. You're a big fan of Safin. You're hoping he's going to stay on tour for another couple of years. So the tennis scene will be much duller without him. Well, this week's going to be a bit duller without him, but I sympathise with you as he goes. Jenny Speller's been on, Peter, just a little upset by the flickering neon advertisements which we can see on the court.
She's not alone.
Yeah,
okay.
well, she's... I know you're not happy with it, and she's wondering if the players would be affected by it or whether we're getting a...
No. It doesn't flicker in person. It's just over the TV screens. It has that strobe effect, and it's pretty annoying. I think the organizers should take a look at that because obviously what is more important to them than proper TV coverage? Not much.
Okay. We're just going back to the subject of Richard Gasquet one last time. Quite a long email, but a very interesting one from Simon Burgess. Says he listened with interest to Peter Fleming's comments earlier about Gasquet. Firstly, he says, I agree, we don't want to see potentially innocent players being roasted by the ATP for actions they have not been proven guilty of, or for innocently taking something not knowing there are trace amounts of banned substances in it. Gasquet should be treated as innocent until proven guilty. However, Peter seemed almost angry that drug tests are being carried out and that it's consuming the sport. Would it not be far worse if no testing was done and drug taking became rife, regardless of whether it's performance enhancing or not professionals? Sorry, whether it's regardless of whether it's performance enhancing. I think I might have taken something the way I'm reading this. Regardless of whether it is performance enhancing or not, professional sportsmen have a responsibility to keep their sport clean and to set an example to aspiring athletes. Furthermore, can you accidentally take cocaine if, and I do stress if, Gasquet has done so willingly. He has not only broken the rules set down by the ATP, but also the law, as cocaine is a Class A drug. If he's proven guilty of taking cocaine, he should accept the consequences from the ATP, even if that does spell the end of his tennis career. It's irrelevant whether he took it socially or during a tournament. The punishment should be the same, as it's no less illegal, irresponsible or reckless to take cocaine as an athlete in whatever context. A 3-month ban if he took it socially is a joke compared with a 2-year ban if he took it during competition. The drug is the same. The last thing tennis or any sport needs is to give the impression that it's soft on drugs. A zero-tolerance policy should be enforced if guilt is proven beyond all doubt. Now, Peter, I know you want to come back on that.
Well, I have a problem with part of that email in that, so is it that, bankers, should bankers, the tennis industry needs to ensure that the players are clean for what? The public health or, firemen, policemen, bankers, accountants. If my accountant is wired out, he's going to give me a bad tax return. It's where do you draw the line?
Well, they could easily be sacked. A policeman would probably be sacked if he was found to have taken a Class A drug.
And how would he have been found out? Do they go through drug testing? This is it's a a personal privacy issue. Again, if somebody wants to take a drug, and believe me, I've a number of my friends over the years, in 30 years in the game, have had real problems with it. But by being tested, it's not going to stop those problems. It's not going to stop them from doing it. The fact that they're illegal is not going to stop them from doing this. It's more an issue of helping people take control of their lives. But I just don't think that being this big brother, you're a role model, Marcus. You're a role model to all those kids out there who are potential presenters. Well, no, you're not. People look to athletes as what you have to uphold the standards of athletes for my kids. No. The parents have to uphold standards for their kids. The parents are the number one role model. Paul Gascoigne is not a role model anymore to kids than those kids' parents are. And I just think it's not right that people put this huge responsibility. Whether Gasquet has taken cocaine or not, I certainly hope that he hasn't. I hope it's it's a mistake in the testing or whatever. But if he has, it shows he's got a problem. Okay, let's help him deal with that.
Well, the last part of Simon's very long email, which I didn't read out, says today's children need their heroes to be setting the best possible example in their sport. For example, Nadal, the quicker and harder issues like drugs are clamped down, the better it will be for all. But clearly, you don't quite agree with that.
I don't think
sentiment.
The role model thing is quite as important as people make it out to be. I think that start at home and look in the mirror, and then we can worry. Gasquet can worry about him, and I'll worry about me, and you can worry about you.
Well, Jill's texted and she says she agrees wholeheartedly with Peter and hopes that Gasquet can recover and maybe even draw strength from this awful experience, as when he's playing well, he's a joy to watch, and he also comes across as a genuinely nice person. So there we are, plenty of differing views on the Gasquet issue, and as I've said earlier, he is mounting his own defence at the moment, and he hopes to make that public in the not too distant future. Right, let's get out to this Rancho Sanchez Vicario court clash between Simone Bolelli and Juan Ignacio Chela. As you can see, Bolelli